So, Galen, thanks for coming on. Galen Warden is a mother whose son is living with with severe ME/CFS. Galen's journey through the emotional stages of grief and loss, both for her own life and her son's, has been deeply inspiring. Galen, could you please begin by sharing the key turning points or tools that have helped you sustain your caregiving role and give us a little bit of insight into your journey through this illness?
Thanks, Talia. I'm really thrilled to be here. It's good to see everybody and to join, these amazing caregivers telling our story. I I really resonated with so many things others have said. My journey began with my complete denial that my son was as sick as he was. He was getting worse and worse for 10 years, in which doctors said nothing was wrong with him and suggested, the standard cognitive behavioral therapy and things like this, until finally he was not being able to care for himself, not being able to prepare food, do his laundry, bring the cat litter into the house to feed his cat. And during that time, I was just in denial, and I sold the house he was living in, and he had to get into an apartment. And at that point, he was already, like at the latter end of moderate, because my personal, issue was I'm flight, I'm not fight. And when I saw the horrible things going on, I was kind of in denial. I was like that ostrich with my head in the sand. So my journey to caring for him began with the shock of he was bedbound. And that was pretty much when we got his diagnosis, he was bedbound. He could get into a wheelchair, he could get to the bathroom, to the toilet in the wheelchair, but he couldn't walk around anymore. That was when I began to care for him, brought him to South Carolina to my home. But it was too late, really. I mean, if I had not been such a chicken, maybe I could have done more for him and prevented him from becoming this severe. So he comes to my house. He's completely dependent. He's basically paralyzed. He can't feed himself. I'm spoon feeding him. I'm holding a straw to his mouth, toileting him in the bed. No guidance, no conception of what the hell is this. And I fell apart. I was crying every day. I was angry. I was frustrated. I would do something for him and he would have a criticism about it, and I would go cry. And so I got a therapist and I said, I need help. I'm not managing this. This is not sustainable. They say this is incurable. How can I live like this as this is now? It just isn't. So I went to therapy with the thought that the therapist is going to feel sorry for me and my terrible situation, having to do all this work for my son, where the reality was my therapist pointed out the fact that, it was my issue. It wasn't my son's sickness. It was my issue. I had to go back to my past, where I had a lot of trauma in my childhood that was unresolved. And I was living with this, unaware of this pain in me that was causing me to overreact to everything. And as I went through the therapy and confronted the trauma in my past and said to the little girl, my nickname was Gay Gay, said to her, hey, your mom shouldn't talk to you like that. These adults shouldn't treat you that way. You deserve love. You deserve, respect. And as I began to face my past, deal with that trauma and come through it, all of a sudden it was like overnight, even though it was weeks and months, it didn't bother me when James criticized something I did. Oh, the toast is wrong or whatever. Okay, I can remake the toast. It wasn't like, oh my God, I thought I made perfect toast. All of that was gone. And then I became able to take care of business, not be upset, and build that routine Kyle was talking about. I couldn't have a routine when I was falling apart. So this was my mental health journey. And It was very, very important that I take care of me so that I could, rise above those emotions. It wasn't his job to take care of my emotions. He was the one suffering. So that's how that, resolved itself.
Galen, I really appreciate your just frank honesty with this, right? I mean, it's hard and we have to navigate our own grief and loss through this and even our own health and what we go through just on a physical and mental basis. So I want to touch on a couple of other things here. What other mental health aspects are crucial for caregivers to focus on beyond preventing burnout? And how can they integrate these into their daily routines or even weekly routines?
I think Kyle really said some great stuff about this, and I just want to kind of repeat what he said. And that was to, get some earbuds, get some wireless earbuds and listen to music. What your job is not to be a martyr, not to blame the person that your life is miserable and what you sacrificed, but to find a new path for yourself, to find a new version of the happy you. And it might sound cold to say, how can you be happy when your loved one is so miserable? That is not the point. The point is, how does it help them to have a miserable person taking care of them versus somebody who is content and is able to walk in calm because they've got it together? That's what they need. So I listen to music in my little wireless earbuds. He doesn't hear it. And I dance in my kitchen while I'm, putting my dishes away and doing things. And these are ways that I have built a normalcy to me being me and not just a caregiver. I might even use my earbuds to watch something on Netflix I've seen a few times while I'm doing the dishes. And it's not because I'm focusing on it and going to mess up something, but it's something I'm familiar with. And it's just to be enjoyable, something that is enjoyable to you. And, I need to emphasize everybody's different, and you may not want to dance while you're putting your dishes away, but you might, have something else you do once a week, once a month, go out with a friend, whatever you can make happen. You have to have someone you trust to come into your home and help with your person so that you can make your escape and be yourself. Do something that is quintessential you. Like Kyle was saying, those evenings with friends, play a game or, whatever it is. It could be, when someone comes to my home, basically, sometimes I'm just in my room. I'm writing a book, I'm just alone in my room, but I don't have that hanging over my head. Oh, he's going to need me any minute. That's all gone. So it's really important to have that support.
I I don't know if everyone knows that you did this webinar with us previously, but if you haven't checked out Galen's How to Be a Demanding Diplomat video, we will certainly share it in our resource guide because it's another really amazing tool that you've put together, Galen, that offers so many practical steps. And I think that that's the other thing when you're caring for someone with severe ME/CFS. Sometimes you don't quite know what to do, and you have to be really, really creative in being their best advocate. And that extends into school, as Amy's pointed at. It extends into trying to get them the healthcare or needs, just in-home needs for yourself, for them. So I do just want to highlight that that's another amazing resource that you've put together. So thank you.